come celebrate. Gather together, come celebrate. One by one, come celebrate. Now and forever, let us remember we are one. Come celebrate, join in a circle, come celebrate. Side by side, come celebrate. Now and forever, let us remember we are one. Celebrate, celebrate, come celebrate. Celebrate, celebrate, come celebrate. Celebrate, celebrate, come celebrate. Celebrate, celebrate, come celebrate. Come celebrate. Gather together, come celebrate. Heart open wide, come celebrate. Now and forever, let us remember we are one. We are one. We are one.
Good morning. Thank you for coming to celebrate with us. We're grateful to have you here with us virtually in our hearts, right here, right now.
This has been a very difficult week for many people, difficult months for many people, but particularly this last week and a half has been a very difficult time, and a lot of divided voices out there in the world, and today, more than ever, we feel the power of feeling our oneness, experiencing and expressing who we truly are.
Allowing love to be the only power.
Truly.
So we do a tradition each and every Sunday, rooted in the First Peoples culture, of honoring the four directions, of physically turning and facing into each direction. And we do this to honor Mother Earth, but also to acknowledge that divine within each one of us. And so the chant is, O Great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me. And we'll sing that once for each of the four directions. Then we'll sing it for that divine within each one of us. So if you're able to, you can physically turn, find the east, find where that's, hopefully you know where the sun rises, where you are in the morning. Face into the east to that land of the rising sun, the new beginnings that exist for all of us.
Oh, Great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me.
Turn facing to the south, warm, rich land.
Oh, Great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me.
Turn facing to the west, the land of the setting sun.
Oh, Great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me.
Facing into the north, the dark night of the soul.
Oh, Great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me.
Turning within, that divine place of manifestation, wisdom.
Oh, Great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around.
Oh, Holy One, Holy Wonder. We open our hearts to you in this moment. We open our hearts to the all and the everything that is, that has been, that will be. We join with all of creation, with the two-leggeds, the four-leggeds, the winged ones, the ones that swim and crawl, with rocks and trees and grasses, with the seas, the skies, the oceans, the stars, with all of life. We affirm our oneness. We affirm we are one. Together, we are one. And again, we are one. Feeling this deep connection as we honor and nurture the sacred in ourselves, each other, all of creation, we say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so it is.
There's an old ancient saying in the wind, one must only take the first step to begin. You're on your way and you've done the hardest part. Now make your journey with a generous heart. Step by step, side by side, hand in hand, this whole world is a better ride. Step by step, side by side, take a little step with your neighbor side by side. Well, we've stumbled and we've broken our stride, wearing old worn-out boots of hate and pride. It's time to put on brand new running shoes, to run a race which we can't really lose. Step by step, step by step, side by side, side by side, hand in hand, this whole world's a better ride.
Sing along.
Step by step, step by step, side by side, side by side, take a little step with your neighbor side by side. Let's sing that chorus again. Step by step, side by side, hand in hand, this world's a better ride. Step by step, side by side, side by side, hand in hand, this whole world's a better ride. Step by step, side by side, take a little step with your neighbor side by side. Those old walls are falling down and it's time to lend a hand. What goes around comes around again and again and again. Understand that love's the one true power, and that nothing in the world is really ours. From a satellite we all look the same, and a new world's time has finally come. Step by step, side by side, hand in hand, this whole world's a better ride. Step by step, step by step, step by step, side by side, take a little step with your neighbor side by side. One more time. Step by step, side by side, hand in hand, this whole world's a better ride. Step by step, side by side, take a little step with your neighbor, take a little step with your neighbor, take a little step with your neighbor side by side.
Oh, it's a beautiful song written years ago by Chuck Pyle.
And altered slightly for the week. Thank you, Chuck, for the inspiration.
But still so relevant today. Many lessons, many wisdoms. Today's poem is titled Wake Up by Pedro Salinas, and it's from My Voice Because of You, translated by Willis Barnstone. Wake up. Day calls you to life. Your duty is to live, nothing more. Root it out of the glum night and the darkness that covered your body, for which light waited on tiptoe in the dawn. Stand up. Affirm the straight, simple will to be a pure, slender virgin. Test your body's metal. Cold, heat, your blood will tell against the snow or behind the window. The color in your cheeks will tell. And look at people and rest. Rest, doing no more than adding your perfection to another day. Your task is to carry your life high and play with it. Hurl it like a voice into the clouds so it may retrieve the light already gone from us. That is your fate, to live. Do nothing. Your work is you, nothing more. Do nothing. Your work is you, nothing more. So we take a moment now as we come to this time of communion. When we're physically together, we share a ritual of breaking bread, and as a physical manifestation of our metaphysical oneness. So this morning I invite you to join me in breathing together and to remember that we are literally breathing in the same air. So let's take 4 deep, long communal breaths together, and as we inhale, I invite you not to just ingest the air, but to fully digest it, taking it in mindfully and fully. And then as we exhale together, let us release all that is past so that we can come home more fully into this precious moment, this present moment now. So together we'll inhale and exhale, starting each breath on the inhale with the sound of the bell. As we inhale, as we exhale, we remember truly we are one.
If I met you on the corner, would I know you as you are? Would I take you for a stranger and brush past you through the door? If you called me, would I hear you? Would I walk away too soon? If I lingered for a moment, would I see myself in you? If I fought you as a soldier, if I had you in my sight, would you ask me to remember who imagined I was right? If you witnessed my surrender, do I know what I would do? If you held me like my brother, would I see myself in you? Well, I dreamed my end was near, I was almost gone. If I dream that dream from here, can I still come home? If you called me, would I hear you? Would I walk away too soon? If you held me like my lover, would I see myself in you? If you held me like my mother, would I see myself in you?
First time I heard that song was the Sherpas, right?
Yeah, Tom Prasad Rao, yeah.
Tom Prasada Rao and Tom Kimmel and
Yeah.
yikes, memory cells. Beautiful, beautiful way of sharing that feeling of who we are and who we are not, and who we are as strangers. And I recently had the experience when we were driving back from New Mexico. We were in the middle of nowhere, West Texas, as I call it. And we found this precious community gift. We were in Eden, Texas, and we drove by. Rudi saw this sign that said the Garden of Eden, so of course we had to stop. And it was obvious that much love had been poured into this small plot of land. And as I walked through the gardens, there were several above ground ponds that had been built with circulating water, but there was only one of them that was full of these beautiful bright pink lotus blossoms in several stages of opening. And it reminded me that without the mud, there is no lotus. That phrase, that this beauty comes from this dirty water, this mucky mud. In the Buddhist tradition, the lotus represents potential, the potential for awakening and enlightenment, the potential for seeing wisdom, being wisdom. And I know these past several months have been challenging for all of us with the COVID quarantine and the police brutality, the protests in the streets. There's so much uncertainty all around us and within us. And I guess my question is it possible that these mucky, dark times can be the catalyst for real awakening, for wisdom to surface and bloom in our consciousness, individually and collectively and universally, globally, for us all to find that. So just to continue the thoughts about the lotus flower, it is regarded in many different cultures, especially the Eastern traditions, as the symbol of purity, of enlightenment, of self-regeneration and rebirth. And its characteristics are a perfect analogy for the human condition that we're all living, that even when its roots are in the dirtiest waters, that the lotus produces the most beautiful flower. And unlike other flowers, the lotus, when it first begins to sprout, it's underwater. It's making its home in these lakes and ponds, in areas where the surface water seems fairly still. But there's a lot going on underneath the surface. And the lotus is surrounded by the mud and the muck and fish and insects and these dirty, rough conditions. But despite all that, the lotus flower is so strong as it pushes aside the dirt and the muck and makes its way up to the clear surface. And in the beginning, the lotus is just a stem with only a few leaves and a small flower pod. And then as the stem continues to grow and the pod slowly surfaces above the water into the fresh air, it frees itself from all these harsh conditions underneath and below. And then that is when the lotus opens individually each petal to the sun. And even though the flower was born in that darkness, in the murky conditions, where hope for such beautiful life seems questionable, the lotus grows. It rises above its dark beginnings and it opens each petal to the air. And not a spot of mud is from its origins stays visible. And there is this inner lotus too that has been protected and is this pure, bright, beautiful blossoming. So aren't we all like the lotus flower? We live in the mud. We live with and in these obstacles and challenges, this suffering that we experience in our daily lives. No one is immune to that. And yet some of us never make it to the surface so we can blossom. Some of us are buds just waiting and ready to feel that sunshine of life. Some of us are opening our petals one at a time to the sun. Yeah, and we all face the same obstacles: sadness, loss, illness, aging, death. And in several Eastern philosophies, there's a phrase, a term called dukkha. In fact, in Buddhism, it's the first of the Four Noble Truths. And often, it's most often translated as suffering or unhappiness, pain or unsatisfactoriness, or the stress of our mundane lives that we're living. And there are three kind of levels or types of dukkha. The first refers to the physical and emotional discomfort, the pain all humans experience. And this kind of dukkha arises in response to unpleasant physical or mental experiences or feelings or sensations. If I look at my life, I think back to about 2.5 years ago when Rudi and I and his father and his partner were in a horrible automobile wreck and fractured and broken bones and parts of my body. I was feeling physical pain and discomfort pretty regularly. And that was that feeling, that physical sensation in my body. And then if I look at the last year with Rudi's recovery and the transitions in the circle, I'm feeling this mental grief, this sorrow about those circumstances. And there's nothing I can do to prevent this painful experience of sorrow or grief. There's nothing I can do to stop the physicalness of broken bones. These circumstances in everyone's life will include unpleasant experiences. What it is it's the aversion to the unpleasantness. It is this craving or longing for the circumstances of our lives to be different. And this craving, this longing for our lives to be different is like hitting our heads against a wall. Because that is how things are. That is how things exist. We are born. And we will experience injury and illness and old age and loss and death. And our loved ones are subject to the same conditions, and so we will keep experiencing unpleasant feelings of separation and loss. And the only way to keep this from arising constantly is to change our response to unpleasant experiences. If we can acknowledge unpleasant feelings and sensations, if we can be with them and let them run their course. And I know this is easier said than done. But if we can do that, and what it requires is mindfulness. When I can be consciously aware for myself of, yes, this broken bone is physical pain, or this grief from my husband acting out is grief and sorrow I'm feeling, and not add to the craving that I want my life to be different than it is. There's this acknowledgement that is in place. And acknowledgement is a very valuable thing to have. And then the second type of dukkha is the awareness that everything affects everything else. And it comes when we step beyond just the aversion to an unpleasant physical or mental experience, and we start in on this more stressful mental activity. In our house, we call it the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. These are the judgments, the anxiety-filled thoughts and questions, the doubting. And again, this mental activity reflects a craving for things to be how we want them to be. With my broken bones, I kept feeling like I should be stronger. I'm a bear. Bear, it's a family thing. Or the guilt and the what ifs about I should have been more careful. I should have looked better before heading into that intersection. I could have paid closer attention to my husband and his addictions. And when we can alleviate this dukkha by bringing those mental thoughts into our conscious awareness and using mindfulness practice, whether it's inside meditation or whether we're just in our daily lives, we become aware of whatever sensations or feelings that have come up. And as we get more skilled at mindfulness, at paying attention, it becomes easier to bring our awareness from the pleasantness or the unpleasantness to this impermanence of it all. Mindfulness allows us to question the validity of our thoughts. And the more time we spend focused on loving kindness and compassion, the less time we spend focused on the suffering. And the third kind of dukkha relates to impermanence or change. From our response to these pleasant experiences. So sometimes maybe you've experienced this when we have a pleasant experience that we want it to last forever. And yet the universal law of impermanence doesn't allow that. Sometimes if we're having a great meal, we want it to last forever, we tend to eat too much. Or maybe I was speaking for myself. And during these pleasant experiences, we have this feeling that it won't last, and it won't, because change is constantly happening. I had this experience again while we were in Albuquerque last week visiting Mateo, and we had wonderful times with him and his girlfriend, Debbie, and yet there was this kind of nagging feeling that I would experience that, gosh, in a few days we'll be driving away and we won't see him for months. We don't know how long. And this feeling, this longing for a permanence, it has to be acknowledged because we will never have it. So if you feel happy, enjoy it. Don't cling to it. As we practice our mindfulness, as we become more aware of when and how we operate in our lives, and when we feel those speed bumps in the road, good reminders, right? When you or I, when we're feeling off balance, bring to awareness the act of consciously letting go of this craving, this longing, and accept the circumstances of life just as they are. As hard as it may be, accept. And even if we succeed only just for a few moments, it is a relief from being driven to try and make every circumstance of life be just as I want it to be. So we have the awareness, we have acknowledgement, we have acceptance. Because if I continue to do what I've always done, what am I going to get? More of what I've always had. We've all heard that one. And if I continue to act in ways that cause dukkha, I will continue to experience it. And yet, if we do something different, if we use our conscious awareness, then we can cultivate this wisdom. We can exit these cyclical patterns that cause us suffering. So no matter where you are in life, no matter where I am in life, if we continue to work towards more kindness and compassion, using our acknowledgement, our awareness, our acceptance, then we have that potential to open one petal at a time, to blossom into the full sun. So I invite you now to just take some time in meditation to breathe into this thought, this wisdom, the impermanence. So with a deep, focused breath, as we are alone and we are together, we honor and celebrate this practice of all the great world traditions. With eyes open or eyes closed, we breathe into this moment. May we be healthy and happy. As we meditate together, we receive clarity and courage to heal negative states of mind and to restore the essential life force within us. May we be grateful for life's gifts as we remember the kindness of others. As we remember the miracles of life, as we remember this natural world that sustains us. And with gratitude in our hearts, we welcome life's challenges as opportunities that help us grow in wisdom and compassion for ourselves and others. And may we be transformed into our highest ideals, and as we rest with all of existence, with the mystery of our being, as we vow to make the most of our precious lives and to become the change we would like to see in the world. Take a breath now and take a moment to contemplate your highest life ideals and renew your vow to fulfill them. May we be loving and compassionate. Just now for a moment, rest in the presence of unconditional love and compassion for others, for ourselves. We renew our loving intention to help all beings be healthy and happy. And as you breathe, open your heart to universal love, to universal compassion, and visualize the many ways to apply them out in your world. We become mindful through our breathing, as with calm and focused breath, allow your awareness to ride your breath from the tip of your nose to your heart center, focusing your breath observing your thoughts, your emotions, memories, and let them evaporate. Just let them go like clouds in a blue sky. Release. And breathe. May we be of service to all beings. As we begin this process of emerging from our meditation, we vow to carry the tranquility and wisdom, this unity and compassion felt here and now into each moment of our lives. As we breathe together, as we breathe into this moment, as we feel our feet firmly planted on the floor on Mother Earth, as we gently open our eyes, returning to this place, we feel our connection. We feel that we honor and nurture the sacred in ourselves, each other, and all of creation. And so it is. And here we are together giving thanks.
There is anger, there is anxiety. Don't try to erase it. Embrace it. There is joy. There is such loveliness. Don't try to retain it. Radiate it. We see the pieces and you forget that there is a wholeness. That's what we are. There is anger. There is such loneliness. Don't try to erase it. Embrace it. There is joy. There is such happiness. Don't try to retain it. Radiate it. We see the pieces 'cause we forget that there is a wholeness. That's what we are. That's what we are. That's what we are. 'cause we forget that there is a wholeness. That's what we are. That's what you are. That's what we are. That's what we are.
That's what we are. And so we're all of that and so much more. It's remembering. And we take this time now. We lift up the offering basket to support the work of the circle. We also lift up the names and the situations in the prayer box. So if you have a name of a loved one or friend of yourself, if you have a situation, please either message us at Celebration Circle or post it in the comments, and we will send it out today in our Mighty Mighty Prayer Circle that is a powerful, powerful consciousness that operates in the world, whether we're knowing it or not. It's a group of people who are lovingly praying for the highest and the best and all. And then holding your love offerings in your hands and in your hearts. I invite you to, whether you're mailing in a check or cash. We received a $100 bill this week, which was a thrill in the mail. Cash in the mail. Or you're clicking on a button on our website that says donate. Or if you are one of those recurring donors who has set up an online donation that happens each month, whatever way you're giving, we are grateful for your gifts, your time, your talent, your treasure. It all matters. You matter, we matter. Life matters. So, lifting these gifts up, we hold them in our hands and our hearts, and we say, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so it is.
We are the wheel. We are the turning. We are the lesson. We are the learning. We are the laughter. We are the tears. We are united in our hopes and fears. We are one. We are one.
Sing with us.
We are one together. Won't you help us sing it, feel it? We are. We are. We are one together. Food not long. We are the love, we are the hate, we are the fence, but we are the game. We are the races, we are the race, we are the love that we're called to embrace. We are one. We are one. We are one together, each and every one of us. We are one. We are one. take a special moment to embrace all of those who are hurting in the world. And there are so many who have suffered directly from COVID-19, from the blatant, systematic racism and incidences. People who've been hurt in protest, people who've been hurt by protest. People are hurting from the chaos in the world and the seeming confusion in the midst of it all. All of it we embrace with love for ourselves, for those outside of us who are hurting in this way, as we remember we are one. We are one. We are one. Together, each and every one of us. We are one. We are one. We are one. Together. It's so easy to blame somebody else as being at fault or being the problem. Over there, they are the ones. No, we are one. Remember, feel it. We are one. Remember, be it. We are one. Together.
Feeling all of this, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Before we close and sing Love is the Only Power, a couple things. If you don't read the Around the Circle, send us a message and we'll put you on the list so you get our weekly newsletter. You also have access to a daily inspirational image and quote that can come to your email box, and you can sign up for that. Just let us know. Connect with us on Facebook or our website, celebrationcircle.org. We want to, I posted this in the weekly e-newsletter, that Sebastian Siller, who has for 2 years now has been our Sunday morning setup logistics person with our dear friend Leslie Goddard, who has a birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Leslie. And he graduated from Brackenridge High School.
Little Sebastian, graduate.
Which is a tough time for these so many young people that are having to navigate life in a whole completely different way. So we just send him our love and our blessings. And he's going to stay in San Antonio to go to school, and we're grateful that he'll be with us when we begin meeting again publicly.
Which hopefully will be soon. We don't know when that will be. It continues to be an ongoing process of discernment to decide when and how we can start meeting person to person.
Because we are huggers, and I don't know how we're going to do that. And the last thing I want to mention, two more things. There is a nonprofit group, a Facebook group called Food Not Lawns, LAWNS. And it's a volunteer group. They will come out and dig a vegetable garden in your yard to turn your lawn into food. And they did this for us back in March, the last day we publicly met at Celebration Circle. They came Sunday afternoon, and within a few hours had dug and planted about 450 square feet of garden space. So we have been enjoying cucumbers and squash, and we have ears of corn that are coming up, and radishes.
Anyway, you can have all that too. It's a little hot to plant a garden right now,
but you can prepare for fall and get ready And there are some things that you can
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and if you've never been to Fannick's Nursery, go there. That's great inspiration. It's like an artist date for the
Local
gardener.
garden.
Local garden shop that has been around for decades, family owned. Local shop local. And then the last thing I want to mention is next Sunday is Father's Day, and we will be welcoming our dear friend Daniel Maldonado, who lives in Austin and
Travels all around the world, speaking on the power of the empowered masculine, getting in touch with the feminine and the balanced way of living in this new gender balance times. Yeah, that's it.
And we're hoping that his dear sweet one, Sarah Sullivan, will be with us to do a meditation, and she's a yoga teacher, so we'll see. So keep your fingers crossed that Sarah will join us as well. So that's what I know for now. But
And Food Not Lawns is looking for one yard.
oh yeah,
Looking to do a yard in the next couple of days. They had
next week.
next week. Yeah, they had someone planned, and then that didn't work out.
So next weekend you could have your yard prepared for beautiful produce. And while I'm talking about that, I just want to also put a shout out to a group called Urban Veg, which is a local farm-operated, chef-driven, community-supported agriculture. A CSA is an opportunity for us to support local farmers. You pay a weekly fee for a box of produce, and they deliver it to your door, and you're kind of taking the risk of what might happen on the farm, but you're also supporting a local farmer who is literally loving and organically growing food for us.
and has been for 7 years.
Seasons.
7 seasons. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's an experienced farmer who know what they're doing to bring really high quality food. You never know quite what food you'll get. You have some
Till
input.
a couple days before, because I got to break the news to Rudy, we're getting candy striped beets this week.
Yay! My favorite. We're also getting
But-
farm fresh eggs and microgreens
And homemade gluten-free bread.
anyway.
CSA, it's called Urban Veg, VEG.
Now
And
more than ever, it's important for us not just to talk about being connected to Earth, but find ways to really live with and on from the Earth in symbiosis, and a community-supported agriculture, and having your own garden, taking care of each other, praying for each other. These are present, palpable ways that we can not combat the chaos of the world, but bring order and peace and grounded power into our lives.
let's remember that love is the only power. Love is the only way as we watch our circle grow. So join hands together and hearts together. And
Reaching out to you.
Yes.
Here we go. Love is the only power. Love is the only way. Love, 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 love. Watch our circle grow. Love is the only power. Love is the only way. Love, 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 love. Watch our circle grow.
remember, we love you, we bless you, we see the light in you.
Go in peace.